Asif Wagwan. So in this video I am gonna bake the sweet potato pudding. This is not Jamaican traditional sweet potato pudding. I have about 6 sweet potato pudding recipes uploaded to this channel, traditional Jamaican sweet potato pudding, so you can check out those recipes. This is not Jamaican sweet potato pudding that I will be baking. This is just me baking a sweet potato pudding, okay? Because no yam now go in there because I don't have no yam. And today is the day that I have the time to bake the pudding. This is a much loved pudding in my family, so I bake it very often. Right now, I don't have no yam, so I am using 2.5 pounds of sweet potatoes, and of course 1 coconut. So I peel a sweet potato and wash it, and I'm using the yellow belly sweet potatoes because this one is the best one. It has a drier texture than the others. Yes, so right now I am slitting one because it is too big for me to hold it and grate it properly. I am gonna ungrater it. I can use a food processor, but I'm not gonna use a food processor because the texture that I'm going for, the food processor is not gonna give me that texture. It is always best to ungrate it, but sometimes I can, but I'm gonna really have a time, so I use a food processor. But right now, I'm gonna use a piece of macheted grater, okay? Because I'm looking for a specific texture, as I mentioned earlier. So now I am grating a piece of ginger root because I'm going to put just a tiny piece of ginger into the sweet potato pudding as well. As I mentioned earlier that I won't be using any yam because I do not have any yellow yam specifically, right? The yellow yam is used as a binding agent because it is starch. The sweet potato is gluten-free, so it weaky and cannot stand on its own, so it needs a foundation, and that's where the yam comes in. However, the yam is not a good binding agent as the flour, so we use yam and flour into our traditional Jamaican sweet potato pudding. Okay, now I am gonna use one cup, not 2 cup, 1 cup of all-purpose flour. The flour is gonna act as a binding agent because it has gluten in it. You know, when you mix it and it pasty, the gluten that, right? So I'm using 1 cup because I do not want it to overpower the sweet potato, because me don't want to taste the flour when I eat the sweet potato pudding. Okay, yeah man, and you cannot use almond flour and them kind of flour there. You have to use all-purpose flour. So I am adding a little bit of salt. So now I am adding brown sugar. I was gonna use magma, but I'm gonna leave that recipe until I start get eye views. Trust me, that is some mixed spice. If you don't have mixed spice, just leave it out. It is a combination of several spices. All right, so that is grated nutmeg right there. And I did use some cinnamon powder as well, even though the mixed spice as in cinnamon powder, but I did use some cinnamon powder differently. And that is vanilla. Okay, gonna mix everything. And you don't know me now mix no dry ingredients different from no wet ingredients, because we are having water restriction and me now use up a lot of containers to have a lot of containers to wash up, right? Yeah man. So I am now mixing the pudding with some freshly grated, not grated, blended, freshly blended coconut milk. Yeah man, so I'm mixing, and then I'm gonna taste it to see if more sugar is needed or more salt or vanilla or all of them stuff there. You can just adjust the taste at this point if you will be following this recipe. And I added 2 teaspoons of melted margarine. You can always use butter. So now I am greasing a pot because I am gonna bake the pudding into a pot, real Jamaican style, at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about an hour. So I am pouring the mixture into the pot now, then I'm gonna bake it, right? All right, so after an hour, I remove the pudding from the oven, and now I am gonna pour a little bit of this coconut mixture all over it to give it the matter on the top. That's what we call it when we were small. Nowadays, people say custard, me still say matter, matter on top of the pudding. So I mix some magma, or as I call it, wet sugar. Yeah, wet sugar is better than the dry brown sugar. Yeah, man, wet sugar and sour orange mixed together to give you a beverage. Remember beverage? It's really beverage, but we don't say that, we say beverage. Oh my God, those were the days. The 90s was the best. So I'm gonna return it to the oven and bake it for an additional 10 minutes or so. So it took an hour and 10 minutes basically. Yeah man, good old days with magma. Yeah man, we still have magma. Yeah man, you can't get it, you have to get it through links. Yeah, real nice. I'm gonna do a recipe with it, but them kind of ingredients they call for I've used because I don't think nobody else have magma. We can just post in something for 60 views. So this is the baked sweet potato pudding without the yellow yam. As I mentioned before, this is not the Jamaican traditional sweet potato pudding, right? So I use only the sweet potato and the flour, spices and margarine and piece of ginger and coconut milk, of course. And then I, mix the coconut milk with some magma, or as you call it, wet sugar, pour it over it to give it a nice matte on top, or as you call it, custard. And that's basically it. Right? Thanks for watching. Walk out.